Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the 2022 midterm elections in the state of Nevada. Before I start, I'd like to say if you like my content, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell, and also leave a like and comment. I'd also like to mention that we do have an official Twitter account now, so make sure you follow that. The link will be in the description below and in the comment section below. With all that said, let's get into it. So today we are going to be taking a look at the state of Nevada in the 2022 midterm elections. I'm going to start with the Senate race. Of course, this race is between incumbent Democratic Senator Catherine Cortez Masto and Republican former Attorney General Adam Laxalt. In my last video, I made the bold claim that Nevada would be the best chance at a Republican pickup this year. And while that was not a very popular opinion back then, almost all analysts agree now that not only is Nevada the best chance for a GOP pickup, but Laxalt is probably the favorite. This is partially because of Herschel Walker's scandals in Georgia that have negatively affected him, but the Nevada race has also gotten a lot better for Laxalt, and it was already looking like he was going to do better than Walker before all the scandals happened. The main reason that the Nevada Senate race has been looking good for Adam Laxalt is because he led every single poll in the month of September. It was mostly narrow leads, but some polls had him winning by 3 or 4 points. When I made my last video, the polling usually had either him or Cortez Masto up by varying leads, but now Laxalt has a much more steady lead in the polling, as we can see here. In the Suffolk poll here, this is the first lead that Masto has had in a poll since August, which I guess you could argue shows that she has momentum, but I would have to see her leading more polls to really say that. Of course, there's also a gubernatorial race between incumbent Democratic Governor Steve Sisolak and Clark County Sheriff Joe Lombardo. When I made my video before, it seemed like Sisolak was a narrow favorite in this race. As we can see here, he was leading a lot of polls. I think he was leading the polling average. However, Sisolak also has not led a poll since August. However, unlike Laxalt, Lombardo has not won every poll. A couple have been tied, but otherwise, Lombardo has been narrowly leading. Almost every poll has shown a shift towards Lombardo, and a lot of projections now see him as the favorite as well, and he's leading the polling average. He was not before, I don't think. A big reason for Lombardo leading is because he's the sheriff of Clark County. Clark County is the most highly populated county in Nevada, so being an office holder there is a huge advantage for Lombardo. If we look at the 2020 results here, we can see that Joe Biden won Clark County by around 9 points, while he only won Nevada by about 2.4 points. This means that Lombardo doesn't even need to win Clark County. He just needs to chip away at it by a couple points to get ahead of Sisolak. And this county, as well as the state as a whole, have been trending toward Republicans for over 10 years. If we look at the shift from 2016 in 2020, we can see that despite the country moving over 2 points against Donald Trump, Clark County moved 1.4 points towards him. And the state as a whole also moved very narrowly in Trump's favor as well. These trends and Lombardo's performance will probably boost Laxalt as well. It seems like they're kind of going to drag each other across the finish line in Nevada. In my opinion, Laxalt and Lombardo are both favored to win their elections. The months of September and October have been pretty good for Republicans down ballot, and Laxalt and Lombardo have surged to be leading almost every poll in the last month and a half, like I showed earlier. With all this said, I do have to say it's possible that they're being overestimated, because Nevada is one of the only states in the country where polling has a history of sometimes underestimating Democrats in recent years. And so I'm going to look at some of those cases now. If we look at the 2016 presidential election, we can see that Donald Trump was actually narrowly leading the Real Clear Politics average by the end of this cycle, and it was widely seen as one of Trump's best chances in a swing state. In fact, I think Real Clear Politics actually had Trump winning the state. Ultimately, it was actually one of his worst swing state performances, and he lost the state by over 2 points to Hillary Clinton. And of course, he ended up winning Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Iowa, Arizona, New Hampshire. No, he didn't win New Hampshire, but he did win Florida. And so Nevada was one of his worst swing state performances in 2016. Looking at the historical average, Clinton was leading by a couple points at this time in 2016, but the polls did ultimately underestimate her. In the 2018 elections, the polling miss was one of the worst in favor of Republicans in the country. If we look at the Senate race, we can see that Dean Heller was leading polls for the last month before the election, and ultimately ended up losing the election by 5 points. The final polling average was tied, but that's still a 5-point underestimation of Rosen. Similarly, in the governor's race, Laxalt was actually leading the polling average narrowly and ended up losing by a little over 4 points. So in 2018, which was the most recent midterm year, Republicans were overestimated by 4 to 5 points in statewide races. Going now to the most recent statewide election in Nevada, we have the 2020 presidential election. And of course, Joe Biden was leading the polls on election day by 2.4 and ended up winning the state by 2.39, which is technically an overestimation, but negligibly so. It says here that the final results were 2.7, but the actual results were 2.39. However, leading up to the election, polls had him leading Trump by up to 5 or 6 points. So he mostly was overestimated in 2020, which did kind of buck the recent trend in the state, but the final polling average was pretty accurate. You could argue that the overestimation of Biden was because it was a presidential year and that because 2022 is a midterm year, the polls will be more like 2018. And I'm not really sure what to think about that. Polls seem to be all over the place this year. You have places like Oklahoma seeming close, and Ohio's kind of in a similar spot to where it was in 2020, so I'm not really sure. Ultimately, I do think Laxalt and Lombardo are both going to win. I think it's going to be closer than polls suggest. They probably will both win by around 2 points or less. And I definitely don't see them winning by 4 to 5 points like some polls suggest, but I do think they're narrow favorites. The trends in this state, and especially Clark County, just seem too good for Republicans. And the national environment has been getting better for Republicans recently, so that's definitely going to help them. Obviously, they've been leading every poll, which I think is a key difference from 2018. In 2018, we saw that either candidate was leading each poll, and some had them up, some had them down. But in 2022, they've been leading every poll with very few exceptions, which leads me to believe that the polls are more accurate in Nevada this time around, but I could be wrong. Anyway, that is my updated analysis for the state of Nevada in the 2022 midterm elections. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and leave a like and comment telling me what you think. Thank you all for watching and have a great day.